It's possible to not only grow food for yourself, but also grow food to feed your chickens. Feeding my chickens from the garden not only gives me some of the healthiest chickens around, while I'm feeding my chickens, I'm also making compost for my garden. So it's an endless cycle. We use compost from the chicken composting system to be able to grow tons of food right on top of each other, all over the place here. And once that food grows from the chicken compost, we take some of the produce, move it back to the chickens, who eat it, turn it into eggs, and also more compost. Then the compost returns to the garden. Endless cycle. And we're not only using produce we're growing in the garden from the chicken compost, we're also going to go through here and collect a lot of pests because the chickens like to eat the pests. And who wouldn't want to turn losers, like this Japanese beetle here, into compost? I do this a few times a week, so let's grab the gear and get started. So when it comes to feeding the chickens, we're going to keep it real simple. I'm going to be walking around with this bug cage here to put a lot of the garden pests in. And then I also have this large plastic bin. Since we already saw this loser over here on the borage, this Japanese beetle, we're going to go ahead and grab him real quick. Let me show you how to catch Japanese beetle. You gently put your hand underneath and you touch them. And their defense mechanism is to fall down. But we're going to have plenty of these guys, so let's go get some grains. So right here at the entrance of the garden, and this is cool too, because when you weed your garden, you can just take the weeds and feed it to the chickens. Now I don't do much weeding here. I try not to pull things out by the roots, but this dandelion here, I'm going to grab it, leave some leaves there, and kind of snap it. And if it comes up, I'm not going to be too angry because there's plenty of dandelions in here. But the chickens are going to love that. Yeah. Thistles. Nobody likes thistles. I'm going to take these. These are also go into the chicken run here. Now they really don't enjoy eating these, but they will turn them into compost. A little bit of grass doesn't hurt to throw in there. And right here we have a stinging nettle over by a tomato here. Now stinging nettle, if you touch it, it's going to hurt. But the chickens actually like to eat this. Now, I don't want to pull this stinging nettle out by the roots because I want it to regrow. So I'm going to cut it right above a node. And you're going to have to wear gloves to touch these because you'd be absolutely crazy to pick it up and throw it in the bin. Got some Swiss chard here, really easy to grow. What I like to do is leave all these healthier leaves up top. And I'll just come through here. I'll cut some of these lower leaves off, toss those in there. Got some borage. The bees love the borage, and so do the chickens. Same thing here. I'm not harvesting entire plants when I'm getting food for the chickens. I come through here, take a lot of the lower leaves off. The goal here is to take a little as you go so the plants can continue to grow and feed your chickens throughout the whole summer. We're coming across one of my favorite plants to grow for chickens, and that is the radish. I grow different types of radishes for the chicken. I have daikons here. All these purplish white flowers are all daikon radishes. Now radishes grow really big, really quick, especially in the heat. So if you use this method, you're probably not going to eat the radishes yourself because they get really big. We're going to look at that a little bit later. The real big ones are called Crimson Giant radishes. And if you're growing radishes just for chicken food, the Crimson Giant is the one you want to grow. Show you a little bit later because they get big, you can cut them down, and they keep growing. Now, I like to grow different types of radishes. Like these daikons are good for tillage. They're going to help my soil out when I leave them rot under the ground in the winter. Also a really good companion plant and trap crop. And as you can see, there's so many flowers here. It really attracts a lot of pollinators to the garden. Radishes are one of the most underrated produce you can grow. So since I can't walk on my path here, I'm going to follow these radishes down. And instead of cutting them, I think I'm going to plant a fall crop here. So I'm going to go ahead and just yank these radishes out. Now these are a size you could eat, but we got to feed the chickens too. The chickens really like to eat the flowers, and here are the seed pods. These are also edible if you want to save these pods and eat them yourself. They taste pretty good if you like radishes. They really don't enjoy the radish themselves. And if I don't want to completely wipe out my radish, I will follow this down. And if I cut right here, this is going to leave this part of the radish to keep growing. So it will regenerate all summer long. We're only 10 feet into my garden. We already have this massive haul, but let's keep going. Over here at the broccoli, we have some lower leaves that are not doing any good for the plants. So we're going to go ahead and chop those lower leaves off. Toss those guys in there as well. These leaves that have been eaten by the slugs, those are also going to go. A little more stinging nettle here. Like before, let's just take a little right above the node there so that plant can keep growing. Grab the stinging nettle. We got a bunch of Kohlrabi over here. These plants get really massive. The slugs like them. We got a lot of this useless foliage down here that we're going to chop. Take these eaten up leaves here and toss them in. We got a lot going on here with all these artichokes and sage. We got some snapdragons. We have the mature audience plants. A lot of people say you can feed the mature audience plant to the chickens, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to move on. Here's one of the true comfreys I grew from seed. Now they say don't harvest anything the first year, but look how massive this true comfrey is. So I don't feel bad going in here, taking a few of these lower comfrey leaves here, tossing them in. And look at this guy over here. Here we have plantain. I have a lot of plantain popping up. It's a weed to most people, but to the chickens, it is delicious food. So sometimes with the plantain, I don't like to actually pull it out. I will just chop it. This is actually pretty good chop and drop too for your plants. I like to take it and throw it around the plants. And I do the same thing with the chickens. I'll just come through here, chop it, take some, give it to the chickens. Take a break from the greens and go over here to the evening primrose I just let grow and just see the vulgar behavior from the Japanese beetles in my garden. Just like before, let's put our hand underneath and just gently tap the Japanese beetles, and they fall right into my hand. Let me show you how to handle a situation like this where you have a bunch of Japanese beetles just hanging out on the top of a plant. So this is my primrose with loads of Japanese beetles on it. So I'm going to take my cage, I'm going to gently tuck it under the plant, and then very quickly put the top in and shake it. Now doing that, I've caught every Japanese beetle there was on that plant. We're even lucky enough to get a few earwigs in there, which is good. But when you do this method, you're going to want to double check your cage to make sure you don't have any beneficials in there. I've caught crab spiders in there. There's a lot of baby tree frogs on here. We don't want to feed those to the chickens. So you want to make sure it's just the garden pests inside there. I won't film the rest of this, but as you can see, I come out here daily and there are hundreds of Japanese beetles in here, and the chickens love Japanese beetles. While I'm over here, this is all giant horseradish, about 4 foot tall. Why not come in here? Let's grab some of these horseradish leaves, toss those in there, because the chickens do like to eat the horseradish leaves. Got some purple lettuce I let go to seed. I'm going to save seeds, but all these bottom leaves here are fair game. The chickens really like these. Tons of kale, giant row of 2 different types of kale here. I'm going to go through all these leaves that have been eaten by slugs. We're going to pop those off, toss those in. And look, got some more plantain here. We got some more stinging nettle. We're going to take that stinging nettle, toss it in there. Little thistle right there. Look at that. We got a bunch of red clover inside here with the horseradish. Let's just pop these flowers off. The chickens are going to really enjoy eating these flowers. Dude, where were you like 30 seconds ago? We got some different types of plantain here. We got some mullein. This is all good chicken food. When I first started making this video, I wanted to get to other parts of the garden, but today we did not even come close because there's so much food right at the entrance of my garden that we didn't have to go over here. That's really the point of this video. I know not everybody grows as thick as I grow in here, but you don't want to over harvest. Maybe every 3 or 4 days or so, just walk around with a 5-gallon bucket, pick some weeds, take some of the bad leaves off some of your plants, and give them to the chickens. If you don't have chickens, just use them as chop and drop or throw them in your compost. Regeneration. Growing food, taking the green parts that grow above the ground and returning them to the soil, because all the good stuff actually happens below the soil. We do have a big cleanup coming because we got to get our fall crops in the ground. We got to harvest this garlic so we can utilize this space to grow some more fall crops. A bin full of chicken food. We could throw some more grass in there. They love the clovers. We got some more dandelions. I think we're ready to feed the chickens. I am going to take all these Japanese beetles. We're going to throw a few black raspberries in here. And the chickens know what's up. They're all waiting inside there. They know what's about to happen. They're all anxiously waiting to get inside there because they know it's loaded with garden pests and black raspberries. In a matter of seconds, all these garden pests will be gone. This is what the garden pests are going to look like when the chickens are done with them. And this is going to mix with all this stuff I throw in the chicken run, make really good compost. In this bin right here, I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to dump it right in the middle of the chicken run here. And the chickens are going to come and they're going to start eating what they want and mix it up and make compost with the stuff they don't want to eat. So we've got all these chickens pecking away, scratching, mixing all this stuff up, doing all the work for us so we don't have to do the hard work to make compost. They're eating healthy. And if you follow along, you see how I do my chicken composting system. That's a 5-gallon bucket right there. There's about 12 inches of really good compost under here. You dig through here, you can grab a handful, you sift through this stuff. Really good compost. Eat fruits and vegetables. The plants eat the chicken compost. We give the plants to the chickens. They turn into eggs. We eat the eggs. Everything comes full circle. Everything in our gardens, from what we plant to the weeds, serves a purpose on the homestead. Leave some comments down below. And if you liked the video, make sure you like it and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.